literal rallies behind a group of IDF soldiers who were caught raping Palestinians. Not only were they not charged with a crime, but now they are being treated like national heroes. Here they are being honored by Israel's defense minister, and they even received an apology from Benjamin Netanyahu and his government for the very short time that they was detained. Israel is such a sick and twisted society. Israel even held right to rallies during the short time they were detained because they believed that the IDF should have the right to Palestinians. Remember, these Israelis were literally caught on camera raping a Palestinian man so violently that he was hospitalized with rectal tearing. They're not arguing that these people didn't do it. They're arguing the fact that the IDF has the right to engage in the that they choose to. Israel systemically engages in sexual violence as a tool of war. Meanwhile, liberal Democrats completely ignore this, and then they smear Palestinians as the rapists. Western feminists serve the empire by smearing black and brown men who are victims of United States imperialism as sexual deviants, while conveniently ignoring the IDF and United States military, who systemically engages in sexual violence as a tool of war. Everything that these people say about their enemies is just pure projection.
What's poppin'? My friends, my family, we are back once again. I'm always in the lab cooking, as you guys know. And as I always say, it's important to remember that rape is the tool of the oppressor. It's something that the ruling class engages in. It's why I didn't believe the bullshit about the Hamas mass rape hoax that many Western feminists lied about. Anna Kasparian and TYT, they did whole segments defending the concept of mass rape on October 7th, when we know that resistance movements, people who oppose Zionism, they don't engage in the tactics like rape, like the oppressor does. That's why you know that October 7th is mass rape. What's poppin'? What's poppin'? I think I just got removed. What's poppin'? My friends, my family. It's good to be back. I think I got removed on accident. What's poppin', my friends? Yeah, I was just playing before I got removed. Sorry, there was a glitch that happened in the beginning. Like, they have this psyop that they're repeating in the UK about how they're burning ambulances. Have you guys seen that? We're gonna cover that here soon. It's the reason why we didn't believe in a mass rape hoax is exactly why we're not gonna believe in this obvious false flag attack. Because who engages in the burning of ambulances? That's what the Zionists do. Zionists engage in burning medical infrastructure. So they are engaged in these false flags. They said, don't you know that there's a bunch of anti-Semites who are burning Jewish-only ambulances in the UK? And it backfired because the reaction of everyone in the UK and around the world is, you guys have Jewish-only ambulances? Like, bro, what? They're like, what do you mean you guys have Jewish-only ambulances? So we're going to get to that here very soon. But first I have to cover this because Donald Trump put out a statement essentially begging Iran for peace because Tel Aviv and Israel is getting absolutely hammered. Yeah, TYT, they repeated that mass rape post. Anna Kasparian still condemns Hamas to this day. But it's crazy to me that people in the pro-Palestine movement thinks she's good on this issue just because it's easy to dislike Israel. If you condemn the resistance in their attempt to free themselves from Zionist occupation, you're de facto a Zionist. And the reason why we uncritically support the resistance is because of headlines like these. Do you guys remember this? To get back on topic. Because before I get into why Donald Trump is raising the white flags, I have to do what not many people in the West are doing, celebrating the victories of the resistance, acknowledging that this military operation, this genocide against the Iranian people, have been a massive blunder, tactical geopolitical failure by the West. And Iran has been so successful that they are creating a cultural revolution in the Middle East and effectively decolonizing the Middle East from the United States and the Zionist regime. Because I covered this throughout the course of the years. I remember covering this closely. Well, I used to ask these NATO imperialists, like, hey, man, why are you guys still in Iraq despite the fact that Iraq voted to expel United States troops? Like, this headline is from over 6 years ago. Are you guys starting to catch on to the massive victory that Iran has achieved for the entire region? Because they tried to vote out the United States and NATO. Iraqi parliament votes to expel U.S. troops, and Donald Trump threatens sanctions. This was at the end of Donald Trump's first term. And then I covered during the RBN era how Joe Biden was essentially repeating the Donald Trump's foreign policy, and they refused to leave Iraq, despite the fact that it was something that their government voted on. They didn't want to be occupied by the United States and NATO anymore. So after failing to go through proper channels 6 years ago, you want to know what actually happened over the last few days? So after voting to freedom so 6 years ago, you now have the United States and NATO that is agreeing to a ceasefire so they can safely withdraw from Iraq in a massive, monumental victory for the resistance. They voted on this 6 years ago, and now that was finally forced out. What a massive blunder. So not only is Israel getting hammered, not only do you guys fail to remove what you guys call the Iranian regime, not only do you guys fail to degrade their ballistic missile capacity, not only do you guys create a situation where Iran is easily the most popular country in the world, and the Iranian diaspora who were cheering for their homeland to be bombed, they look like absurd and ridiculous traitors now in hindsight by the global majority. Iran is viewed as heroes of international law, and they are decolonizing and demilitarizing the United States and Zionist presence in the Middle East. Massive, massive victory. Here's our friend Anand Bertrand. This is quite extraordinary. Iran is quite literally freeing Iraq from U.S. occupation. The U.S. NATO alliance asked Iraqi resistance factions for a ceasefire to allow safe withdrawal. Essentially, what happened in Afghanistan. Let me put this back up here. This is people reacting to this. Is our friend Arnard. The U.S. forces are now limited to Kurdistan region. What a victory for the resistance here. The Iranian diaspora has been revealed as the biggest group of clown, traitorous scumbags, the Ravi Pavali faction. And Iran, they put out messages like, bro, wait till the United States reveal how many United States soldiers we actually smoked over the last few days. It's gonna completely shatter the illusion of Western power and imperial dominance. We see if they're telling the truth, because the numbers coming out from Russian state media, coming from the Iran side regarding the United States troops is astounding. But we have to acknowledge that they're probably playing some politics as well. There's always a lot of gamemanship in war, even on the sides that we root for. So history will show who's telling the truth on this. But according to Iran, there has been way more United States casualties than they let it on. So this gets to the main story that everyone's reacting to today. Another massive Western embarrassment. Didn't I tell you guys this was going to happen? Remember how I said this a few streams ago? How it's only a matter of time before Donald Trump announces mission successful and then claims that they're in peace talks. Try to save face as they find a way to leave this conflict. This has been an unmitigated disaster to the life where even I'm surprised at how badly this has gone for the West. And if you follow my work, I told you guys that war with Iran would be a disaster for the West. I told you guys that Iran will fuck the West up. But even I'm shocked at how poorly this has gone for the United States. Multiple F-35 shot down, U.S. radar, military bases completely dismantled, Saudi Arabia, U.S. airfield completely dismantled, drones completely dismantling aircraft carriers and forcing the United States Navy to flee the Middle East. Insane generational run that we're witnessing from Iran right now. And this is from Donald Trump doing what I predicted he would do, what many people predicted he would do after being humbled by Iran. You guys had no choice but to bring this to an end, because they were talking all this shit about how they're going to destroy energy infrastructure and engage in more terrorism. Donald Trump put out a panic tweet over the weekend to cope over the fact that he's losing, where he's like, we're going to destroy all the power plants in Iran and completely send the entire country into the dark. Talking all this shit. And by the way, do you guys know that, and I mentioned this on the channel before, no one else in the news will tell you this. I watched many segments about this. They will never tell you that even making a threat of a war crime like this is actually a violation of the Geneva Conventions. You guys know you're not allowed to threaten another country and claim that you're going to commit massive war crimes against their people in order to influence them to make a decision. Like, if you want them to go to the peace table, you can't say, hey man, I'm about to nuke your entire motherfucking city. I'm about to kill all of y'all. You're not allowed, you can't do that. But international law has been completely delegitimized to the point in the West where Donald Trump and the United States and Israel commits war crimes, commit violations of international law all the time, and no one even flinches anymore. So here's another. So there was, over this weekend, it was another example of Donald Trump doing exactly that, trying to panic the Iranian people, promising terrorism in response of their inability to achieve their military objectives. So in response, Iran was like, hey, bro, I promise to God you don't want to go down this route, because if you go after our power plants, we're blowing everything up. You know, the sanitation plants that the Gulf states need to get clean water. You know, the things that if we target, your country become unlivable within a few days. Bro, we don't want to go there, but if you guys attack our power plants, which is crazy, by the way, we will fuck everything up in the Gulf. And then Donald Trump got the calls from his Gulf homies. It was like, hey man, you're not playing this right. You about to get us all fucked up. Hey man, we need you to backtrack on this immediately. So Donald Trump was like, hey, don't worry, guys. I don't actually mean it. I'm a bitch. I'm gonna backtrack anyway. I'm just gonna wait before the market opens. Our fake ass bullshit capitalist system. You gotta realize Donald Trump keeps escalating shit to sound tough to his Fox News watching base, and then he scales it back every Monday and tricks the dumbass capitalists into thinking that peace is on the table. Market manipulation on a scale we never seen before. And that's another reason why this tweet came out, because when Donald Trump promised doomsday, where they're going to destroy each other's energy infrastructure, Iran was like, all right, bet. You want to destroy our shit? We're going to destroy your shit. So then the market was like immediately reacting to that. Like if the market opened on Monday without Donald Trump backtracking, it would have been an utter disaster. So fam, imagine how horrible this war is going for the United States, that the president has to consistently lie about peace talks being on the table when they are not, in order to prevent a total market collapse. Have we ever seen anything like this before? What an insane indictment of this war that you signed up for. The fact that you got to pretend that there's peace coming every week, or your economy is about to completely collapse. As you guys fuel Russia's economy by dropping Russian sanctions, and now Donald Trump is floating the idea of dropping sanctions on Iran, which completely exposes every single stated reason why they went to war. Because they said they went to war with Iran because they were being unreasonable during their nuclear talk negotiations. And anyone who's been paying attention to this for a few years know that this is completely bullshit. Because why would you drop sanctions on Iran when Iran was asking for you to drop sanctions in the first place for them to agree to your nuclear deal? Iran, who had a religious fatwa on nuclear weapons, they was 100% okay with, hey man, we can follow the order from our Ayatollah, and we can get sanctions dropped on us. This is a great deal for us. We don't want a nuclear weapon in the first place. That's why Netanyahu and the Likud Israelis hated the Iranian nuclear deal, because it was a massive victory for humanity, peace, and also the Iranian people who didn't want a nuclear weapon in the first place, and they got sanctions relief. So with Iran, what they've been negotiating with the United States, even under the Biden administration, because this is a bipartisan United States foreign policy move to choke Iran using sanctions. They said, hey man, we are willing to give you guys a better nuclear deal to drop the sanctions. We're not going to negotiate or move any further until you drop the sanctions. And Donald Trump and Joe Biden collectively refused to drop sanctions, which led to this war. That led to this conflict that we're in right now. So now that we're in a hot war with Iran, and after Iran murdered the United States troops, and this war has already started, now Donald Trump in the United States is like, hey man, we're going to drop the Iranian oil sanctions in order to ease the prices of the Straits of Hormuz being dropped. Sam, we are watching all-time generationally dumb geopolitics. Do people even understand the absolute stupidity that we just lived through? We went to war with them because we wouldn't drop sanctions, and now they're whooping our ass, and we are in the middle of a hot war that they don't want to negotiate out of, and now you want to drop the sanctions? You dipshit. If you didn't drop the sanctions in the first place, we would never be in this situation. And then people want to tell you that Israel has nothing to do with them manipulating this war. The United States position is incoherent. All right, so that's a whole nother rant. I'm supposed to get to this tweet. So that was a lot of lead up and information I wanted to share with you guys that led to this moment. Because Donald Trump realizing that going blow to blow, attacking each other critical energy infrastructure, that's obviously a no-winner for the West. Yeah, there are allies that will turn against you. Politically, you're going to be you're already being damaged at home. And now you got your ghost state Muslim Zionist servants. Even they're hitting you up like, hey, man, I think this is a bad idea. So Donald Trump puts out this tweet full of cope. And this is a tweet sent out by a defeated man who's panicking. Like the tantrum he threw on Friday, threatening Iranian power plants. That was his emotional response to him losing the war. I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have, over the last few days, very good and productive conversations. Really? Really now? Bro, why are you lying? Like, why are you lying, bro? This is so painful. Bro, why are you lying, bro? We have very good and productive conversations. You were just saying how you guys murdered everyone you was talking to. Regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East, based on the tenure and tone of these in-depth details and constructive conversations, which did this nigga really type witch as in the spellcaster? Bro, people was, what a fucking dumbass. This man really typed out witch. You guys see this? As in burn the witch. Based on the tenure and tone of the in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which, what a fucking dumb dipshit, will continue throughout the week. I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes. Again, you wasn't gonna do that shit anyway. Iran called your bluff, you pussy. That's what that's about. As he's pretending here. Yeah, you guys want to talk about this motherfucker? He's talking about witches and black magic. You mean witch with an H, motherfucker? This man said, dumb boomer motherfucker. He said witch. Witch will continue. This motherfucker talking about the Scarlet Witch. I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes. So you guys realize that as Donald Trump is saying this, Yemen and Allah like, nigga, let's go. We about to clock in. Anyone who go through the Red Sea, we about to fuck you up. You guys realize as they're saying this, they are doing war chants in Yemen as we speak. They like, Iran, can we get in? Yeah, coach. Iran like, bro, don't worry. We're gonna bring you in here soon. We got this under control. And then Iran saw this message. They was like, bro, what? They're like, nah, nigga, we want all the heat. We want all the fuck. What are you talking about? And this is, you guys know, our friends at Hotspot. We always in the lab cooking at Hotspot. And you need to follow our account for anti-imperialist news. Just 3 days ago, this is what Donald Trump said. We want to talk to them, and there's no one to talk to. So if there's no one to talk to, who are you having these apparent peace talks with? And we know that Iran completely decentralized their power structure since the United States and Israel is engaging in assassination as a tool of war. So it's unclear to most people whether they even have a department that will be responsible for negotiating with the West in the first place, because they made it clear that that's not their agenda. They have to make the West and the United States and Israel pay a cost to this war because they lost not just the first war, but this is the second war that they launched in the middle of negotiations. So Iran has made it clear that they have no interest in any negotiations with these terrorists in the West who use negotiation as a political tool. Because I said, even during these fake negotiations, that the United States and Israel was preparing for war no matter how those talks went. So here's the video.
I told him, I said, Dan, if you don't mind, stay in the situation room.
It's kind of quiet.
You watch all those attacks that we're hitting those guys with, and they don't know what's happening. Their Navy's
Do you guys
gone,
hear that?
Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft is all gone. It's all gone. Their
He says their anti-aircraft is gone as they're shooting F-35s out of the air. Doing something that no one ever seen before. The lies that they are telling the Fox News boomer audience is insane. It's pure cope. If their anti-air was gone, they wouldn't be fucking up your F-35s, wouldn't they? Let's continue.
all gone. Their anti-aircraft is all gone. It's all gone. Their radar is all gone. Their leaders are all gone. The next set of leaders are all gone. And the next set of leaders are mostly gone. And now nobody wants to be a leader over there anymore. We're having a hard time. We want to talk to them, and there's nobody to talk to. We have nobody to talk to. And
so he would just talk about how there was no one to talk to. But now you have peace? So what? Why are you lying, bro? Why are you lying? This is today. Who is Steve Witkoff speaking with in Iran? A top person. Who is it? I can't. I don't want them. Come on, bro. Let's listen.
What about speaking with Mr. President? A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody. No, not the supreme leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second supreme leader, the son. Nobody. We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while, you see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people that seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
Again,
Mr. President, I know you deployed.
because I don't want him to be killed. Okay, I don't want him to be killed.
Mr. President, you deployed.
Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants that job right now. Nobody's exactly looking forward to being the head of that particular country. But perhaps we'll be able to solve that problem.
Does anyone really believe that? And if that's true, what does that say about your stated ally in Israel, that you can't even control them from stopping them assassinating people you're having peace talks with in Iran? But no one believes this. This is just pure PR cope. And Iran they were listening to the news in the West like, bro, what is he talking about? I would listen to this segment. Man, if I had time, I'll show you guys with Jack King. They was in complete disbelief. God, I need to dig this up. Bro, Fox News was in disbelief when Donald Trump announced. Donald Trump was like, we don't want that smoke no more. Fox News was like, bro, what? Jack King was like, bro, that doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense. No. He don't mean it. He don't mean it. I promise you. Bro, the level of denial. I need to dig that segment up. If I don't do it today, I'm going to do it probably next show too. It was General Jack King. I'm going to show you guys. They was in complete and utter disbelief over Donald Trump begging for. I can find it. It's in my YouTube history. I need to find that damn video. So here's Iran. The Iranian people demand complete remorseful punishment of all of the aggressors. All Iranian officials stand firmly behind their supreme leader and people until this goal is achieved. So you guys realize that one of the demands that Iran is making is not only just for the United States to permanently leave the Middle East and abandon the United States bases, but to pay reparations for not only the cost of this war, but the cost of United States sanctions over the last few years. So they're going extreme maximalist, maximum pain on the empire, maximum defeat, and maximum humiliation. So what does it say about this war? That the president is begging for peace and begging for negotiations from Iran to the point where he's making up fake-ass WWE-style storylines about effective conversations when that's not happening. And there are a lot of market analysts who point this out, that the entire point of these announcements, they keep making every Monday morning. He always talks shit. He'd be talking all this shit during the weekend. Then Monday, he's like, oh, sorry guys, we actually won peace. We promise we're gonna end this war in a few days. Then on Friday and Saturday, he'd be like, we're gonna kill all these Persian motherfuckers. We're gonna show you guys what happened when you challenge the United States power. We're gonna take all you motherfuckers out. Then on Monday, I'm sorry guys, I actually mean this war will be concluded in a few days. Don't panic. Stock market, please don't panic. What kind of fake ass economic system is this built on capitalist feelings? Like, this is absolutely insane. At 7:04, Trump said the U.S. and Iran have productive discussions, and only 6 minutes later, the S&P 500 surged 240 points, adding $2 trillion in market cap. So you got Trump insiders, you got inside traders in Congress making. You can tell these people are making big money betting on Donald Trump's whims. So we explained before how the West is not really about pursuing successful war. They just want never-ending profitable war. I explained that many times regarding Ukraine. They're getting demilitarized and they're getting their ass beat by Russia and NATO and Ukraine. But at the end of the day, it's pretty successful for them because Palantir makes so much money. The military-industrial complex makes so much money in Ukraine. They're clearing their old stockpiles. They're modernizing their inventory. It's been a great deal for the profits of the defense industries. Yeah, Ukraine is facing population collapse. Yeah, NATO essentially pushed Russia into being a superpower. Yeah, they pushed India closer to Russia and China, which is a nightmare geopolitically, which NATO in the West been trying to prevent from happening for decades. Yeah, that happened. Yeah, we know we taking these massive losses, but fam, at the end of the day, it's about fucking profit. Zoya is love, Zoya is life. But we will be bringing in here very soon during our intermission. This is all about the rich being richer, but are they really that psychopathic? Are they really that crazy that they're willing to completely destabilize the global economy? They're willing to degrade the United States empire, destroy the reputation of the West, just to get rich on market manipulations, to get their friends in Palantir. They got new multi-billion-dollar contracts to renovate the military AI infrastructure. That's another segment that I didn't get a chance to really dive into yet. But you got to know Palantir, they're making bank right now. All those AI investors who backed Donald Trump, it was a great move from them. Because as the world is falling apart, you want to know who's killing it right now? Palantir and his AI military industrial complex companies. So how dark is that? That we reach such a bleak point in capitalism where they want to destabilize markets, kill millions, and ruin the reputation of their own country in order to make bang for their donors in the military industrial complex, which is exactly why CNN, MSNBC, they're all cheering for this war. I have a batshit crazy segment. I might do it at the end of the show. I might cut it for a segment later, where Morning Joe, they was essentially having a meltdown over the fact that Democrats wasn't openly coming out in support of this war. Like Joe Scarborough was grilling Chuck fucking Schumer as if he was like a bleeding heart leftist. The corporate media is begging for this war because they're funded by the military-industrial complex. Is it really that dark? Definitely an element that has to be analyzed. This is as capitalism continues to plunge into degeneracy. We're going to see them engage in all sort of blood sacrifices and the ritual for the bottom line. And you want to know who's, as we close this segment now, we're going to get to the main segment later. I think probably the funniest segment, because we in full-fledged false flag season. Bro, it's false flag season like I haven't seen my entire life. So we know that the Israelis engaged in false flags. Now they got the war that they've been waiting for decades. So you think they're going to sit this one out? You think the country that engages in false flags is going to take this war off? Do you guys think that's going to happen? No, fam. They are locked in. Yeah, I punished myself. I watched MSN, so you guys don't have to. But you have no idea. People have no idea the insanity. The straight up in the boomer slop that is being fed to people on not just Fox News, but MSNBC, CNN. It's insane right now. Like they have this war is so important for the ruling class. They said we're not going to allow any room for any disagreement. There's no anti-war voices on like CNN, MSNBC. Every segment, they will criticize Trump's moves, but they will say stuff like, oh, we all agree that Iran need to be demilitarized, right? We all agree in the merits of this military conflict, right? Yeah, we all agree. But can we just talk about how Trump is fucking it up, though? It's crazy. It's like we're in the most propagandized country in the most propagandized time. So here's the Israelis who are not handling this well because they're getting their ass whooped. Israel already made, and they're paying for this war that they ordered already. Nonstop sirens, massive civilian casualties and injured and wounded in a very casualty-averse society. And now Donald Trump put out this message like, hey guys, we actually don't want to fucking destroy the world over this war. And Israelis like are calling Donald Trump like a pussy. Like zero, worthless. As usual, they do not finish the job. Not in Iran, not in Lebanon, not in Gaza. A sham job. What do you mean by that? Look at these genocidal Israelis. The United States won't let us finish the job. What do you mean by that, bro? Define that. You mean murder everyone? Is that what you're advocating for? These are the people that we supposed to view as innocent civilians in Israel. Have you guys seen like their Telegram channels where they post pictures of dead babies and they laugh at it? Extremely sick and twisted society. Look at the hotspot intro video I did, where they're cheering for immunity for their soldiers to commit rape. Irredeemable, sick society. They all need to be put on trial. Y'all talking about a two-state solution. I think all the IDF people need to be locked up. So essentially, Israel is not. They're melting down. They're upset at any concept of de-escalation. And Israel knew that they couldn't defeat Iran by themselves, so it was extremely important for them to draw the United States in, which Netanyahu and Israel, they finally did. They finally found a president that was dumb enough to be drawn into the war against Iran. I think the one thing that surprised them as much as everyone else was the fact that Iran was soloing two nuclear powers. I think they thought the United States would be enough. And Iran started fucking up the Gulf state, Muslim Zionists, sellouts. And now Israel's been engaging in blatant false flag operations, trying to drag other European countries, trying their best to drag Gulf countries into this war. So just like Zelensky's strategy, I explained Zelensky's strategy in Ukraine. He wrote his peace plan, which essentially will lead to World War III and nuclear war. That's the end result. He said we need Ukraine to be admitted to NATO immediately. We need to implement Article 5 and draw NATO troops. So the goal of Zelensky to win the Ukraine conflict was global war, massive death and destruction. And that's essentially what the Israelis are calling for against Iran. If we can't defeat them by conventional means, we will commit massive terrorism against their people, and we will try to drag everyone in the world into the conflict while also completely dismantling geopolitical, economic infrastructure that is needed to keep humanity afloat. Like, for example, they're willing to wipe out the fertilizer production. You know what? There will be such a massive famine if Israel if they accomplish what they want in this war. Would the United States say, "Fuck it, we just go after everything"? So this is a massive fuck you to the United States because Donald Trump, and this is just looking at it at face value. There's always an analysis that this is a coordinated stunt by Trump and Israel here. But looking at it at face value, you guys see how this is still disrespectful? Where Donald Trump is saying, hey, man, we don't want to launch attacks on infrastructure. We're going to have a pause on strikes. I demand that Israel stop launching attacks as well. So as Donald Trump is saying we want to stop attacks, Israel's Air Force is tweeting this out. The Air Force has begun a short while ago another wave of strikes targeting infrastructure of the Iranian terrorist regime across Tehran. Isn't this in direct defiance of what the President of the United States just said? So for all the people like the ADL, like MSNBC, Katie Tur, and all these people saying, if you say that Israel is dragging us into this conflict, that's anti-Semitism. Here's another example of just covering this at face value. Israel continued to guide us to more escalation, even while the United States president begs to de-escalate. Then you have this attack. I think this is on Diego Lopez. Am I getting that name right? Diego Garcia. There's a military base in Diego Garcia. Have you guys seen this story? This is wild. And this is another example of Western corporate media malpractice I've noticed. And the only time you guys will see this covered accurately is on independent media like myself on YouTube. Because you want to know how every single person have been covering this story. Fox News, MSNBC, CNN. They said, hey guys, this is another example of why Iran is such a global threat. And we must demilitarize Iran because they have these missile capacities that can go way further than we anticipated. Because they attacked this air base. They attacked the Diego Garcia air base in the Indian Ocean. So the narrative that they pushing out here is that, oh shit, and this is what they want people in the West to think. Iran has ability to fire missiles way further away than we thought they do. So, hey, Europe, you guys see how you're actually in range from attacks from Iranian missiles? Isn't this a reason why you should get in this war? Because now this is an existential crisis for you. Look how you're in range of these Iranian missiles that they're firing randomly at bases all around the world. And you guys see this is the narrative they want you to believe. As much, you guys know how much I want to say this is true, that Iran have this new technology that should strike the fear in the hearts of the West. You guys know how much I want to believe this. But this is nonsense, neocon slop that is designed to trick people into believing that this war is in the interest of Europeans, in the interest of the people in the United States. Because, oh, look, Iran is so crazy. They're just going to fire a super long-range missile and aim at Miami. They're going to send a random missile at Real Madrid. This is what they want us to believe, but Iran was like, bro, we had nothing to do with that. False flag attack. Iran denies claim it fired missiles at Diego Garcia. So what I tell you guys? It's false flag season. And now their most tried and true tactic of engaging in false flags in an attempt to draw other countries into this conflict, they're working overtime. Do you guys think the Mossad is taking time off right now? We know that Israel engaged in false attacks on UK embassies before. This is their tried and true method. Here's another one. You even had NATO. It was like, hey, bro, this had nothing to do with us. Like NATO Secretary Mark Rutte says the alliance cannot confirm Israel's claim that missiles targeting Diego Garcia were Iranian intercontinental ballistic missiles. So even NATO was like, hey, man, we had no idea what they're talking about. You see how it's false flag season? Which is going to lead to our next story. This false flag is designed to push the narrative that Iran is a global threat that has to be, there had to be a united coalition to stop them. So isn't it interesting how they say Iran was a paper tiger, how they've been completely demilitarized, but Donald Trump and Israel is now begging the world for help to stop them? I'm gonna get to this story here because I think I've been having fun. I've been waiting to cover this. I've been having a lot of fun on this on X because this story has backfired because we have pattern recognition. But before I get to the story, I do want to read some super chat. Zoya, I want to get Zoya in here if she's available. Maybe I think I can take a short break before I get into this segment because this is like our second main story. I wanted to set it up to show you guys how Israel is pushing these false flags, and they're really working overtime on this obvious bullshit story. So this will be our next main story I'll cover. But before I get to that, let's read some super chats. Zoya's love, Zoya's life. How you doing, my friend?
Good as always. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Our chat is so based, so there's always a lot of comments to highlight. So let's get started. First, we have Jace Hart. Get those likes up, please. Yes, everyone listen to Jace Hart. We need to get those likes up. This channel is heavily suppressed, so anytime you guys can like or share, it definitely helps with the algorithm. Mike Ellison, go comrade Nick. Thank you, Mike Ellison. Mr. Blamo, Nick, thumbs up. Lady Alex, greetings, comrades. Yes, greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining. Street Cat Munchies, hey, Nick. Some of your handles are just amazing. I love them. I love them so much. The proletariat is very creative. Alex Rodriguez, random numbers. Iran is exporting more oil now than it was before the war, and they're putting a tax on it to pass through. Yeah, and they're forcing trades to settle in yuan. So arguably things are not going so well for the evil empire. Fei Lu, good to see you again. The U.S. empire colonizers can no longer dictate terms to the global south and sovereign countries like Iran. Iran has won. Things are definitely shifting. What a time to be alive. Orange dullness. We love you, Nick. Love from Egypt. That's so awesome. I'm so glad that people all over the world get to see these streams, and we love you too. Lore Shack. Such things can happen with a government of inside traders. Yeah, that's what capitalism leads to. Myra Page. Hi, everyone. Hi, Myra. Feilu, Iran's every retaliation is in strict accordance with international law. That is such a great point. So is every action that Russia takes as well. So they're being very careful to follow the same laws that these colonizers use to oppress others. So it'll be interesting to see how they ever try to say otherwise. But this empire lies. Truth above all, they'll never give Palestinians any of the discovered LNG. Hence, Bibi issued permits to our oil and gas cartels 2 weeks after October 7th. 2 weeks after October 7th. Wow. Baobab Comrade OG. What's up with India? Modi is so two-faced, probably killed BRICS. I keep hearing from people that this killed BRICS and that killed BRICS. And first of all, there are so many other agreements on the table besides BRICS, like between Russia and China, China and Vietnam. There are a lot of multipolar agreements that aren't solely BRICS. People are just in this BRICS fandom like it's the only thing that exists. Second of all, no country alone is going to kill BRICS. BRICS is pretty much unstoppable because they're building parallel structures and alternatives to Western hegemony. So far, all of these countries are just gaining more power, building up more military strength, and their currencies are getting stronger. So nothing has killed BRICS. India is definitely two-faced. They act in their own self-interest. They're not revolutionaries. They're not communists, but they will do what's best for their economy. So they do play both sides. They also have really close proximity to China and Russia. So they have to keep the peace. And from Ohio, Iran doesn't give a fuck what Trump says anymore. Arguably, they never did. Iran, like China and Russia and many of these other countries, often say it does not matter who the president is because the policies of imperialism do not change. Billy Joy, markets were tanking, then he says we are talking, it's cool. Yeah, Trump has been manipulating the market since his last presidency. Someone did a deep dive during his last presidency showing how after he lowers certain stock prices by tweet, his family, relatives, and donors all buy up that stock, and then he'll tweet something else that's contradictory that raises those numbers. So he's definitely been playing the markets by tweet and by announcement for a long time. It's unfortunately more people don't notice that. Chanel, he is so mentally unfit and deranged. That's kind of an American tradition. I mean, what we know now about Biden is that he was not even suitable to make decisions, and he appointed people in his administrations to make important decisions for him.
Yeah, Zoya. Zoya's love, Zoya's life. Zoya's so base. I told you guys. We will see. We'll read some more chats after this segment. We'll get to our second main story. I want to start with this video. I appreciate you, Zoya. I'll bring you back up here a little bit later. Let's dive into this story about the Jew ambulances. This story really backfired on them in the UK because you had a bunch of Zionist Jewish supremacists who've been pushing censorship. They already got a full-blown fascist state in the UK, but they always pushing for more. And they're now trying to guide the UK public into joining this war against Iran. And now there are these false flags from new quote-unquote Muslim terrorist organizations that popped up out of nowhere. And I covered how Israel is engaging in a new season of false flags because it's game time. So I'm not saying anything that's out of the ordinary. I'm not saying anything that's hard to believe. Like it's basic pattern recognition. Like it's a state that has a history of engaging in false flags. It's not like we're accusing a peace-loving. It's not like we're accusing China of engaging in false flags when they're trying to do stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like when do Indonesia like pick a random country out of the hat that's not part of the NATO war axis? Like Brazil is a peace-loving country. Lula, like they don't like the idea of like them discussing what countries are gonna bomb next in Brazil. That's crazy to them, but that's just ordinary discourse in the United States. So the point I'm making is, it's not like I'm accusing a peace-loving country of something that they never did before. We are accusing Israel of doing something that is part of their modus operandi. Pattern recognition. The concept they don't want us to do as ordinary working class people, the proletariat. They want a dumb proletariat who don't have pattern recognition. So it's because we have pattern recognition that I see the same pattern, I see the same bullshit, and I'm calling out for what it is. Like when you see these fire bombs on these Jewish ambulances, and of course, no Jewish person is injured or killed. Of course, it's funny how these anti-Semitic attackers are always so considerate. They're always so considerate to make sure there's no Jewish casualties. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting how they also go after buses they plan on replacing in the first place? But before I dive more into this, I want to read this. Yeah, Annie Makian, who reveals that Mossad bombed his own Israeli embassy in London in a false flag operation, blaming the Palestinians. So I haven't actually seen the video, but this is.
But the two cases that really got us. First of all, there was a false flag attack in London in 1994, where a car bomb exploded outside the Israeli embassy in the center of London.
Now, I remember this vaguely. We're talking 14 years ago.
It's a long time
but
ago.
But it was huge at the time. I mean, it was a huge worldwide story.
Yeah. In fact, there'd been an earlier attack against some Jewish interest section in Buenos Aires earlier that year as well. Similar sort of MO, modus operandi, with a car bomb driven and parked outside that exploded. Very minor injuries, that was all. Nobody was killed. And it was a very sophisticated device. It appeared to eat itself, eat all.
So the point I'm making, this is a pattern of behavior. This is what these Jewish terrorists in Israel do. They engage in false flags in order to drum up support for their never-ending wars. So here's the story for the people who haven't followed it. Several ambulances belonging to Jewish volunteer organization Hatzolah Northwest have been set on fire in Golden Greens, North London. So these are the ambulances that were set on fire. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm wrong, chat? Because to me, this seems like obvious bullshit. Because the people who oppose the Zionist occupation, we don't attack ambulances. This is the point I was making earlier in the stream. The same reason why I didn't believe Hamas engaged in mass rape on October 7th, because rape is a tool of the Zionist regime. We oppose those who use rape as a tool of war. The same way we oppose people who attack medical infrastructure like ambulances. So instead of blowing up a bomb facility, a military industrial complex site, instead of going after a pipeline or something, you tell me they start bombing ambulances? If you believe this, I got a bridge I want to sell. You want to know the second you shouldn't believe this damn story? The second you hear Keir Starmer and a bunch of Zionist sellout Jewish supremacists in the UK government who don't give a damn about their own citizens. Like, Keir Starmer only cares about serving Israel, and he explains he feels like he has the need to do that because he has family in Israel, so he views Israel as family. He don't view the ordinary UK peasant, the ordinary worker in the UK as family. He views Israel as family, though. So you want to know who's always there to always legitimize these anti-Semitism hopes that has already plunged the UK into fascism, which is why I reject the anti-Semitism hoax, and I'm glad to see people on the left finally waking up. You guys remember how much trouble I used to get pushing back on this anti-Semitism bullshit? People are finally waking up. Like, I'm ratioing Vox and liberal corporate media. I'm ratioing all these Zionists, explaining to them that no one gives a fuck about this anti-Semitism bullshit no more. We see what you guys are doing. The Palestinian people, the people who are victims of Zionist war crimes are the Semitic people, not your bitch ass who came from Poland. You're from New Jersey. You're not going to tell me you're a Semitic person. We're not doing this anymore. We're not like the brainwashed boomers who believe that the Jewish people are above criticism, above the law. And the reason why we push back on this is because the left in Europe completely failed. The left in Europe completely fell for the PSYOP. And once again, I'm glad to see people in the United States starting to push back on this. Because the Australian left failed. So you want to know what happened? Now they got 18-year-old girls that sit in the prison for 2 years for having shirts that say "to the river, to the sea." Now they're arresting 80-year-old grandmas and sentencing them to prison for a few years, ruining the twilight of their life because they say they stand with Palestine action. You understand that's the result of the left being useful idiots of Jewish supremacy that is used by the Zionists to implement fascism in the West. The same fascism that is normalized in Israel. You know, they say Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Meanwhile, if you're an Arab and you post any sympathetic messages about the Palestinians in Gaza, you see how quick you realize that Israel is not a democracy because your ass be in prison. They'll send your ass to a labor camp where you probably get raped. You guys know they got prisons for children? Do you know they got children-only prisons in Israel? Where they also are victims of sexual assault and rape? That's what they want to implement in the West. And they already did it in the UK. They already did it in Germany. They already did it in Australia. So I said, if you guys want to follow me when I say anti-Semitism is bullshit, I will down that hill because I'm not going to let our backyard get turned into a tool, a fascist, anti-free speech society like Europe is. And that's what this PSYOP is all about. Look how they're pushing this on. Keir Starmer, let me read it, just in case you haven't been watching the screen. UK Keir Starmer called ambulance torching a deeply shocking anti-Semitic attack. So for one, how do you even know that? Like, what if this was just some guy who's like an arson enthusiast? Like, what if this is a guy who's like triggered at the appearance of ambulances or some shit? Like, whatever they want us to believe. You guys see how even believing their bullshit sounds stupid at face value. Some motherfucker, oh my God, look at those Jewish ambulances, let me burn it. Like, wouldn't you just go after? Why not just go after the British members of the IDF? If you're gonna be into some gangster shit, like do some real gangster shit, burning ambulances. And who believes this? So you guys see how they immediately assume it's like some sort of anti-Semitic incident. We are investigating an anti-Semitic arson attack on Jewish ambulances. So this is why this backfired. Because you have all these Zionist institutions. You have the police that are like, oh, don't you know that the Jewish ambulances was targeted in this arson attack? And then everyone in the UK was like, why are there Jewish ambulances in the first place? Like, what is this? That's another reason why this backfired. Bro, why are there Jewish ambulances, fam? Hey, by the way, this is what I was saying. This is one of my tweets. This is about to. Hey, UK, the reason why the Jews have their own secret ambulances in the UK is because they believe the UK Goyim are too filthy to share facilities with them. Starting to get it yet? So remember everything they told us about Muslims who they went to convince us to hate? They said, you know how they don't assimilate? How they have Sharia law? They have these special Jewish ambulances in the UK and no one knew about them. They have these numbers that are guarded by synagogues. You have these Jewish supremacists that actively cut funding in the NHS, in the Tory party, Nigel Farage and his right-wing party. They call for cuts in the NHS system. So it's wild because they call for cuts in the healthcare system while the Jews have their own like secret apartheid healthcare system. Like, bro, what? This essentially has been A1 reaction. I've been having a lot of fun on this on X. UK Zionists, there's been a terrorist attack launched on our Jew-only ambulances. The rest of the UK, we have secret Jew-only ambulances? Look at this banger put out by yours truly. This story is absolutely hilarious to me. Because that's essentially the reaction everyone's having. Like, bro, what? Hey, shouldn't we put a stop? Why do we have privatized ambulances? That undermines the concept of a single-payer healthcare system. That's why in single-payer healthcare systems, you don't call for additional private insurance because it undermines the quality of the single-payer healthcare system. If everything's equal, there's no need to have a privatized system. The reason why the Jews have a privatized healthcare system is because they don't want to be surrounded with you filthy goyim, and they view your facilities as being unpure. This is a conversation where many people are afraid to have. This is the part that may get me pulled on YouTube. Because this is the Jewish supremacy aspect of this story that many people don't want to acknowledge. They don't assimilate. They create apartheid structures in their own communities, in their own countries back at home. Because that's how low they think of the goyim. And isn't it interesting how the second that this happened, and now I'm getting to more evidence because I'm not the only one calling out how this story is obviously bullshit. And it obviously seems like a false flag on behalf of the Israelis. This is Yeshiva World News, an Orthodox Jewish online publication who first broke this story just minutes after the London Fire Brigade were called with live on-scene footage. Yes, it is a false flag attack. So isn't that interesting? Maybe this is just a side point. Because I noticed this as someone who monitors stuff. I kind of monitor stuff for a living. When this attack happened, every single fucking Zionist account tweeted almost in a coordinated way, exactly on time, in order to bring up this false flag, including this Zionist propagandist account. And they immediately started spreading their talking points about this story. Here's Laura Loomer, for example, who apparently woke up in the middle of the night. Like her Jew radar went off, apparently. She had like this radar. I feel like there's ambulances burning in the UK somehow. Let me wake up and tweet about this. So what's the chances of that? Maybe it's possible. So Laura Loomer wakes up in the middle of the night after getting a memo. Like, what? Did they get like a text message alert? Like, hey, by the way, false flag alert, tweet right now. Because if it's not that, if you told me that this is not coordinated, that must mean she must have some Jew radar that goes off in the middle of the night. That you tell me in like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. that if you told me they did not coordinate this, that's what you're telling me. That she somehow woke up in the middle of the night and decided to tweet this. Muslims in London just lit a bunch of ambulances on fire. For one, how do you know they're Muslims? Like, bro, it's 2 a.m. Whatever the fuck time this was when you tweeted this. So you guys see how they had the message to immediately blame Muslims? So how can we, as the Goyim, who've been victims of their false flag attack, how do we not immediately flag this as suspicious? The fact that you guys are waking up in the middle of the night and you guys are all tweeting the same shit in response to this obvious bullshit false flag attack. This is how they're celebrating the end of Ramadan. The UK has been totally conquered by Muslims. You see how that's the talking point they're going with. But you want to know what's kind of interesting, despite this messaging and narrative coming out, how they try to frame this as an anti-Semitic attack? Isn't it interesting that these anti-Semitic terrorists decided to go after ambulances that was already in the process of being replaced? These fucking Jew insurance schemes are crazy, bro. So the fact that they had these ambulances, they was near their end of usage date. They had to get upgrades or get new ambulances or whatever for their secret Jew societies or whatever. So right as they needed to replace the ambulances, it just so happened that a group of Muslim terrorists then set those ambulances on fire. Now, those Jewish private donors who own these equipment, now they will get all their insurance money for the ambulances. Plus, they will get an outpouring of sympathy. And now they got the narrative they can push to support their war in Iran. How convenient. Like, aren't you in awe at how lucky the Jew is? Like, isn't it a coincidence how everything always lines up perfectly for them? Ask Howard Lutnick how lucky he was not to be at the Twin Towers the day of 9/11. He just so happened to pick up his child from school for the first time ever. You know, he's a rich guy. He don't usually do that. But he decided one day, he's like, I'm going to pick up my kids for school on 9/11. The day the Twin Towers fell down, where my homie had the insurance policy on them. Isn't it hilarious how lucky these people keep getting? Maybe they really are God-chosen people. They getting very lucky with this kind of stuff, right? If you believe that, you are dumb goy cattle. Like, you're the goy cattle there that they love to mock and laugh at how easy you are to manipulate. If you actually believe this. And you want to know what's so convenient? Not only are they going to get insurance payout, but out of the kindness of their heart, you have the health secretary and the labor government that say they are going to chip in. And the government will help pay to replace the damaged ambulances. How convenient. How convenient. So these anti-Semitic terrorists, they don't target any Jewish people. So there were no Jewish people that was injured. They didn't target any Jewish facilities like a synagogue or any apartments. They went after these ambulances that already was reaching their past due date that they needed to replace. So now after the ambulances was attacked by these terrorists, they're going to get an insurance payout. And now the government is planning to fund more ambulances for the Jewish community. Isn't it amazing how well this worked out for them? They're playing right in our faces. How convenient that is. I'm glad you guys see it. Come on, no, let's not get into any conspiracy theories, guys. Don't you know they're God chosen people? It's only natural they just get this lucky, right? All right, so where was I? This told me I need so much stuff here. So I have public funds. So here's the. I'm gonna show you guys some reactions from UK Twitter I saw, where they essentially was like, "Bro, I didn't even know we had Jewish ambulances. I never seen an ambulance. You have all these Jewish people and Jewish supremacists are coming out like, don't you know anyone can use these ambulances? Meanwhile, the numbers are like secretly guarded by synagogues." Either way, if you believe that, you must believe that Israel has the right to defend themselves, right? Well, this is the headline. I need to read the headline from Devon. Health Secretary Wes Streeting says the Jewish community will not face up to this hatred alone, and has promised the government will replace the damaged ambulances following an arson attack in Golders Green. How lucky of them. It seems like they don't really lose anything out of this. They get everything they want. They get new ambulances, and they get their narrative against the Muslims they always like to push, and the narrative that this is possibly Iran behind this. Here's a few people surprised by this. Like, anyone reading about the arson attack in London might be surprised to learn that the Jewish community have their own Hazala ambulances. They also have their own police force called the, what is that, Shramrim? Shramrim? I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to pronounce these Jewish terms. This Hebrew nonsense. Did you know that the Jews run parallel emergency services for their own people in Britain? So a lot, look, 2 million views. It's not just me bringing this up. A lot of people are concerned. Like, hey man, what is this about? Jews in the UK have their own police force, ambulance services, schools, hospitals, and much more. They run alongside the National Police Force and the health service, and sometimes get in the way. But you mean to tell me that Muslims have conquered England? So that's the narrative they want you to believe. They always say, the Muslims have conquered Europe and the UK. Bro, you guys have your own fucking police and ambulances. Talking about how the Muslims are taking over. Come on, bro. Why are Jewish-only ambulances and police forces in Golden Greens paid for by taxpayers? No private police should exist. You want a private ambulance, then you pay. Simply put, this is apartheid. And it was, despite the narrative that they said these are ambulances that are funded by private Jewish donors, as if that's better. You guys are creating a privatized, superior option while you guys are also dismantling the NHS. That's already not moral to do that. But it was also revealed to be a lie because these people actually took government subsidies. They was actually funded by taxpayers to provide medical infrastructure for the Jewish community, where the number is kept secret from the public. And there are people going through public resources. There was no information available on how you get in touch with these Jewish ambulances. And it actually gets worse because it's not only like they're just Jew ambulances. They're IDF trained ambulances. These are people who trained with the IDF. But fucking hell, it gets worse. These London volunteers trained with the IDF and apartheid genocide Israel. It's not a Jewish ambulance service. It's a Zionist ambulance service. Yeah, like the volunteers from the worldwide Hazila unit joined forces with the MDA in Israel to collaborate and take part in intense training with the IDF and special forces. So I wouldn't even want to be treated by people who train with the IDF. I don't know about you guys. And the way they're describing these people as, oh, don't you know they're just people who volunteer? They're just ordinary Jews. No, bro, these are people who literally trained with the IDF. They literally went to Israel. Will you trust these? There is no fucking way, bro. Abolish this shit immediately. Look, in the first 3 days, they were close to the border of Gaza doing training activity and listening to lectures on key topics, which in turn will assist the communities we serve. During their time on the base, the volunteers adopted an army lifestyle, training long hours and walking at 5 a.m. Look, so they literally shoulder to shoulder with IDF soldiers next to the border in Gaza. And then they come back to the UK and they're like, hey, we just provide ambulance services, guys. Nothing to see here. The fact that we have Boris Johnson chiming in, that should be suspicious. What kind of maniacs attack a fleet of ambulances? The culprits must be caught and punished with exemplary severity to show that anti-Semitism have no place in Britain. So this is what I was saying earlier. This is a good response. Boris Johnson said, what kind of maniacs attacks a fleet of ambulances? And everyone knows that that's something that the Israelis do. Once again, modus operandi. This is not, if you're opposed to the crimes of Zionism, you're against attacking medical infrastructure like ambulances. You want to know who has a history of doing that and who have a history of engaging with false flags? People who train with the IDF, for example. And what's even lazier, and this will be the last part of the segment, is that they really are trying to use this attack to tie it back to Iran and drive support for the UK and British people to fight a war against Iran. So now they're saying that this attack was possibly done in coordination with the Iranian government? Like, come on, bro. If you're a goy who believes this, you're really as stupid as they believe you are. Israel fears Iran was behind firebomb attack. So Iran is going to travel thousands of miles, not to go after any strategic targets, but to take out some random ass ambulances. Iran came all the way to the UK to burn 4 empty ambulances in a pointless attack that could be used as propaganda by Israel. They think you're stupid enough to believe that. So do you guys are more in line with my skepticism on this story, or are you actually stupid goy cattle who actually believe in this? They are literally creating a new terrorist organization. Look, a new terror organization known as the Harakat Ashab al-Yamim al-Islamiyah. They call it al-Islamiyah? Bro, are you serious? Look how lazy this shit is. They call a new terror organization called al-Islamiyah. Come on, bro. They're fucking Persians. This is what they want people to believe. Did anyone now pronounce his name, dude? That sounds like the most made up fucking name I've ever seen in my life. And apparently this organization popped out of nowhere. This is the organization that the British government and corporate media is blaming for this attack. Harakat al-Shab al-Yamin al... Look, the last part is literally al-Islamiyah. Bro, they couldn't even get any original cool name. It's a terrorist group called Al Islamia. Come on, bro. Even the Times of Israel hasn't heard of it. Look, it's brand new, fresh out the box. The first thing they do, new terror organization, they're like, bro, how can we make a splash? Hey, fam, I got an idea. These are this group of ambulances in the UK. We heard they only serve the Jews. They may serve some of the goys sometimes. But it's very important to make our terrorist debut. We have to go after the ambulances in the UK. Hey, sir, shouldn't we do something to help in the Straits of Hormuz or something like that? Hey, don't you know that there are Marines that plan to invade Iran? Should we do something about that? Nah, man, fuck the invasion. We need to go after the ambulances. This is how lazy the propaganda is at this point. The group name translates to the Islamic movement of the Companions of the Right. I'm offended at how low effort these psyops are. The Islamic movement of the Companions of the Right? It emerged publicly this month out of nowhere. It emerged this month, and they are linked to Iranian terror networks. So you have these group of bumbling idiots who name themselves the Islamic movement of the Companions of the Right. These group of morons who attack ambulances, apparently, who haven't accomplished anything. You telling me that they were signed by Iran? Well, you telling me that they had they had the biggest free agency signing of all time, and it was picked up by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard? Nigga, so if you hypothetically speaking, if you wanted to create a terrorist organization, let's say you wanted to be acknowledged by Iran. Let's say I want to create a militia in Europe, and I eventually want Iran to recruit me. You want to tell me how anyone who could have been recruited by Iran, that Iran decided to link up with these fucking bozos? These bozos who had no clout, no name, and the only thing they did was attack a bunch of ambulances, but apparently they're linked to Iran. I feel insulted too, Casey. And bro, Zionists are going hard. They want everyone to believe this. And not only that, they released these messages. So this group had no social media presence at all. So despite having no social media presence, no followers, they was picked up by Iran. They're the Kobe Bryant of the resistance. Like, first round draft pick. Iran has started their great resistance against the great Satan. And the first thing they did was to pick up these rookies and give them a big assignment. Bro, come on, bro. Come on. But low-key has done good reporting on this. They put out this cringe-ass message that is clearly designed for Westerners to be fooled by it. Because anyone who actually speaks Arabic, anyone who actually understands how resistance organizations speak, immediately flagged this as nonsense. Look, I'll just read a tweet by Loki. This is a great tweet. It is worthy of note that the group which is claiming responsibility for the burning of ambulances last night refers to Palestine as the land of Israel. The fuck you talking about? Every single Palestinian or resistance group I know of, including Ansarullah in Yemen, the resistance of Syria, the resistance in Iran, they call it occupied Palestine. They don't even like calling it Tel Aviv. They will call it the original Palestine name. They'll use the original Palestine name. I don't remember what's the original Palestine name for Tel Aviv. But the way they speak is different than what a Zionist would speak if they were pretending to be part of the resistance. So in both in English and Arabic, they said that this is the land of Israel, which is weird. It's also weird. It has been drawn to my attention that the Hebrew word used for immigration in this statement, aliyah, which has specific Zionist connotations. So they literally using like Zionist messaging in this. And it's a supposedly anti-Zionist group referring to Palestine as this in Arabic is completely unusual. Yeah, unheard of. The Iran-linked terror group that took responsibility for the arson on the Jewish ambulances in London effectively materialized out of nowhere. It did not exist before the week of March 9th, 2026, and unusually does not have its own Telegram or media channels. So you make your great debut. You were signed by Iran somehow. You got all these connections, but you don't even have a Telegram channel. Unbelievably faking gay. So obviously faking gay. Yeah, Jaffa is the name for Tel Aviv. I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to get it wrong. I'd rather just ask. But that's how the resistance speak. They don't even use the name that Israel uses for Tel Aviv in their city. They call it by their original occupied name. I see it all the time. Just another reason why this is obviously bullshit. So I think I can wrap up this segment here. But I have one more short video I want to play tonight. This is gonna be a little bit longer stream. I wanted to show you guys the Fox News video of them melting down over Trump announcement. But I have to show you guys this because the CNN and MSNBC coverage of the Iran war has been abysmal. They all got the message that we all have to unapologetically support this war. And now MSNBC and the Zionists on Morning Joe are so desperate to push this war. They're even grilling hardcore Zionists on why they're not coming out more enthusiastically and making the argument on why we should support war with Iran. Because the weapon manufacturers and the Zionists who own the media, they see the polling. They see polling that shows that Democrats, independents, the majority of people overall, they oppose to this war and they're panicking. So they're aggressively making the argument. I've seen it on every single liberal corporate media segment on this. They're like, guys, yeah, we know the American people oppose war with Iran, but we have to admit that killing these leaders of this terrorist regime is a good thing, right? We all have to admit that demilitarizing Iran is a good thing, right? So I saw the clip earlier. My jaw was on the floor because look at how hard MSNBC is pushing these Democratic Party politicians to make their argument to support this war. Look, check this out.
Before, what's the best way out of this? First of all, is it a good thing that we're degrading Iran's military infrastructure?
Well, the bottom line, here's what really burns me about Iran. Any first-term plebe in West Point studying Iran, they would have said the first thing you better do is secure the Strait of Hormuz if you're going to go to war with Iran. And from what I've been told, some of the generals said that to Trump. He said, oh, don't worry, I know they won't block it. Well, of course they did, and now our prices are through the roof, the world economy is in chaos, etc. And so we're now so deep, and Iran sees that they have real leverage here, right, that it's harder and harder.
All right, so Senator,
here's how we ought to get out.
No, hold on a second. Okay. You got to answer my question first.
Yeah.
So Joe, like, nah, bro, we were producing neocon propaganda, fam. You need to. I'm asking you to say and explain to the American people that it's a good thing that we're going to war with Iran. That's our job. It's your job to say that. And Joe Scarborough is not going to let him off the hook. And it's crazy that he's pushing Chuck Schumer of all people on this. Like, this is the thing.
Is it a good thing that Iran, and I think you would agree with me, epicenter of terrorism in the world since 1979, is it good that their military infrastructure is being degraded to the degree that it is? Yes or no?
It's you can't, because it's a premature question. What is going to happen in the next several months?
No, I can ask that question.
Well, you can't separate.
No. I can't. So you have a military side of it. I can show you my chart, but I think I threw it away. You have the military side, you have the political side. I'm simply asking on the military side, is it good, regardless of whether we agree with going in or not, is it good that Iran's military infrastructure has been seriously
And again,
degraded?
I have to tell you, Joe, first, you can't, what's going to happen 3 months from now?
Ma'am, do you understand how crazy our corporate media is right now? We have Chuck Schumer like, hey, bro, you need to take it down a peg. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Why are you making Chuck Schumer to seem to be the reasonable one here, bro? Because you see how Joe Scarborough is desperate to get a Democratic leader to be on board with the war against Iran? He like, bro, I understand that there's the political question. I understand that the American people are against this war. But you have to understand that we have to do it, right? You understand that they're the biggest terrorists in the world, right? Even though we're the side that bombs schools. So I've been telling you guys the propaganda I've been seeing on the liberal, quote-unquote, resistance networks have been just as deranged as the Fox News. And this is one of the many examples of it. There's no dissent allowed on this issue because Joe gets even more in his. Once, as Chuck Schumer does not give him the answer that he wants to hear, supporting this war unapologetically, he becomes even more unhinged, believe it or not. Let's play some more of
it. That Iran's military infrastructure has been seriously
And again,
degraded.
I have to tell you, Joe, first, you can't, what's going to happen 3 months from now? Is it worth it? What's going to happen? Will the world economy collapse? Will something happen even worse? Will the whole energy infrastructure of the world go up in smoke? So you have to, when they do it without planning, they do it without understanding where they're going,
Senator,
where they're going,
but
I don't think it's
question.
fair.
It's a trick question.
No, it's
because
not.
if you
It is.
do not strategize the consequences
I
of
agree with
the
you.
action, the military action, if you obliterate and do all these things, but you don't actually play it out in your minds and have strategy for the consequences, then it may not be good.
Let me answer the question for everybody in America. The answer, yes. It's good that the terrorist regime, their military has been, and capabilities have been degraded rapidly.
So you see how Joe Scarborough is having damn near a meltdown on live television. He's like, bro, you guys are not understanding what I'm saying here. You guys are not fucking getting it. I don't give you're explaining how the economy may be dismantled on the global. I don't give a fuck about any of that. This is the war that we wanted. You see how unhinged and how aggressively he's making the point to his boomer audience on why they need to support this war, and how they are pushing even like pro-war politicians. Chuck Schumer's like, I would love to do this war, but we got to worry about the economic consequences. Joe, like, bro, I don't want to hear any of that pussy shit. I don't want to hear any of that. Let's play a little bit more.
Strategy for the consequences, then it may not be good.
Let me answer the question for everybody in America. The answer, yes. It's good that the terrorist regime, their military has been, and capabilities have been degraded radically. The question, Mike, though, is political. It's the political question.
No.
What is the political impact? What's the impact in the Straits? What's the impact in the region?
Joe, in all due respect, if you ask the American people, if you have the choice of degrading the military structure in Iran, but having gasoline be $6 a gallon, and our economy fall.
Fam, Chuck Schumer is no fucking hero. But do you understand how deranged you have to be? And this is the standard on corporate media. We have Chuck Schumer like, Brent, do you understand the consequences of what you're advocating for right now? Chuck Schumer can't believe what he's hearing right now. He's like, bro, you are deranged. And Chuck Schumer is not an angel at all. But this is the slop that I'm seeing repeated everywhere where they're pushing these politics. Like, come on, isn't it good to degrade Iran, isn't it good to make sure they don't have nuclear weapons? Isn't it the ballistic missiles a threat? Come on, isn't it good that Donald Trump is doing this? You got to give Donald Trump credit for this, right? This is what the narrative on CNN, this is what Jake Tapper is explaining to the audience. So I know it's hard to listen to, but you guys know I got to break down what our enemies are saying. They even got Chuck fucking Schumer, a Zionist maniac. Man, this is not a pro-Chuck Schumer segment. He said his job is to make sure the left stay pro-Israel. But even he's like, God, you got to understand that there's consequences to this. He's dumbfounded by how deranged Joe Scarborough has been. But I'll play a little bit more of it. I just thought this segment was going very under the radar because this is he's acting extremely deranged, and it gets worse for him because he continues to get frustrated. He continues to get frustrated at everyone at the panel for not unapologetically supporting and saying this war is a good thing.
Political. It's the political question. No. What is the political impact? What's the impact in the Straits? What's the impact in the region?
Joe, in all due respect, if you ask the American people, if you have the choice of degrading the military structure in Iran, but having gasoline be $6 a gallon,
right,
and our economy falling into a deep recession where millions lose their job, what do you think of
Senator, you're not listening to me. That's the political side.
No, it's not political.
Okay.
It's a consequence,
right,
just like...
Bro, look how mad he is, bro. Bro, he's fucking furious. I never seen them go after like a Senate leader like this. Look how Joe rolls his eyes.
What do you think of
Senator, you're not listening to me. That's the political side.
No, it's not political.
Okay.
It's a consequence, right, just like Mika said.
All right, why don't we talk about the Yankees? Because you're not following me here.
I am following.
Bro, he is so fucking mad. He's like, man, we need to talk about sports again. You fucking pissed me off, bro. I thought this was going to be an easy-ass neocon segment. Bro, you lost Chuck Schumer. How crazy is that?
Lose their job. What do you think of
Senator, you're not listening to me. That's the political side.
No, it's not political.
Okay.
It's a consequence, right, just like Mika said.
All right, why don't we talk about the Yankees? Because you're not following me here.
I am
with all due respect.
I just don't agree with you.
No, what you don't understand me. There's a big difference. I would say that most Americans would say it's a good thing that it's degraded. Would they agree?
That is not what most Americans say, dipshit. You see how he's projecting his opinion? The only way he can make an argument is projecting his opinions on the American people that we do not share. When polled, the majority of the American people, around 64%, say they do not agree with strikes on Iran. They don't say, yo, it's a good thing if they're degraded. The point is the American people do not support it, period. And that's the argument that Chuck Schumer's making. He's like, I'm not a bleeding heart liberal. I'm not opposed to war on principle. But fam, you understand, we got no political support for this war. So Joe Scarborough make up some bullshit like, well, even though it's unpopular now, I think the American people want to see Iran demilitarized. No, the fuck I don't. Fam, do you understand where I'm at right now? I'm willing to pay more in gas if it means Israel continues to get bombed. That's where I'm at. We're almost done, but I found this segment extremely interesting because Joe's meltdown on camera here. I guess he expected Chuck Schumer to unapologetically support his talk. Like, I don't know. I just think it was interesting. Let's play it.
I just don't agree with you.
Well, what you don't understand me. There's a big difference. I would say that most Americans would say it's a good thing that it's degraded. Would they agree that we should have gone to war, Mike? I think most Americans, you look at the polls, they don't want this war.
Okay.
They don't want this war, but there is, it's something that I think the Democrats should be, I think it's something, with all due respect, Democrats should be clear about. Iran has tried to kill Americans since 1979. Okay. Two things can be true at once.
Bro, why are you lecturing this man? Like, you see this full-ass lecture he's giving to Chuck Schumer? And I'm tired of you guys saying that like Iran is guilty of killing Americans. Killing Americans where? For one, that's not even a fact. But what you guys are discussing are American troops who are smoked by resistance forces in Iraq, in Syria. And they blame it on Iran. Because, like, don't you know these people are allied with Iran and they keep killing the United States soldiers who are occupying their countries? Well, these people wouldn't be killed in the first place if he wasn't occupying the Middle East, asshole. So you in the United States will never be in danger from the Iranian regime. You know why? Because you're ass in the United States. Resistance forces who are also politically in line with Iran have the right to defend themselves against illegal occupied forces like the United States troops in Iraq. Because I showed you guys earlier in the stream that the Iraqi government voted to expel United States troops in 2020, and they refused to leave. They refused to leave despite the Iraq parliament vote. So if you refuse to leave and you're ignoring their orders, that means they have the right to shoot to kill. Fam? They have to shoot. They have the right to shoot to kill. So then the resistance forces shoot to kill the United States forces who are put in danger by our deranged Zionist leaders. And then these neocon assholes like Joe Scarborough, they come on corporate media and say, don't you know we got to fight Iran because they're responsible for United States Americans being murdered? Completely deranged. This is what these Jewish supremacists, white supremacists, Westerners do. They break international law, they invade sovereignty, they commit genocide, and then they claim the other side is evil for engaging in self-defense. So I know I'm making you guys suffer with these videos, but I think it's important to understand the narrative coming from these people and be able to dismantle them on sight. Because this is the boomer slop that is being fed to Democrat voters. Fox News slop is exactly the same. Yeah, make sure you guys share. I use these segments mostly just as a way for me to share how you're supposed to debunk this bullshit. I know it's tough to listen to, but it's crazy to me that these people are even remotely legitimized. Because you guys see how effortless it is for me to dismantle their bullshit propaganda. Yeah, I think it's funny too. That's just me. I think it's like, to me, I explained this on the channel before. When I watch corporate media propaganda, it's so insane. I watch it the same way I watch a nature documentary, you know? Like the same way you watch lions fight with hyenas. Like you watching like a beast in their natural habitat. That's me when I watch corporate media. I'm like, bro, they are actually repeating this easily debunked bullshit to this boomer slop audience. And the thing is, you guys may laugh. You may think like it's unbelievable that anyone would believe this. But fam, how many times do we catch people like Dr. Cornball West, the majority report, Emma Vigeland? We catch them repeating MSNBC and CNN talking points all the time. That's how we know who our ops are. We listen to our ops and how they speak about the issues. And then if I see you repeating the same shit that I see on CNN, if I catch you repeating the same shit I heard Joe Scarborough say, you immediately sus to me. I tweeted it a few times on X, but you would never catch me in a million years repeating a CIA talking point. Give me an example. Don't worry, I'll wait. Give me an example right now. I bet you guys won't. You guys can criticize me for wherever you want. I may not be the best looking. I may not be the most charismatic. But you know what you're not going to catch me doing? You're never going to catch me repeating some CIA bullshit. That would never happen. But if I was repeating some CIA bullshit, you know how fast my followers would call me out? You know how fast we will have a mutiny in the comment section? If I was ever caught repeating CIA bullshit? Meanwhile, the NATO left, the pro-Banderite left, the Hassan Piker left. They're like, come on, yeah, we get caught saying CIA talking points sometimes. So what? Yeah, we say CIA talking points sometimes. Why? Come on, why are you being such a hard ass? Don't you know you're supposed to agree with the CIA sometimes? Fuck you. Let's finish this segment. I just find this shit funny. Because people fall for it. Believe it or not, man. It sounds crazy to us, but I catch the NATO leftists repeating this shit all the time. I catch the Nina Turners. I catch the Cornel Wests. I catch the Ilhan Omars. I repeat them saying shit on this channel that they see on this channel. I catch Marianne Williamson. They repeat the same shit that these people say. All right, let's continue to wrap up. I personally find Joe Scarborough's meltdown here to be hilarious. Let's begin to wrap up this segment. Bit of a longer stream, but you guys know we always cooking on Monday. You guys know if you join me on Monday on the solo stream, you better just kick your foot up roll a cigar, because we're gonna be here for the long haul. That's how Monday streams usually are. Let's play a little bit more of this video. Then I'll bring Zoya in to read all the super chats. Let's continue.
With all due respect,
I just don't agree with you.
No, what you don't understand me. There's a big difference. I would say that most Americans would say it's a good thing that it's degraded. Would they agree that we should have gone to war, Mike? I think most Americans, you look at the polls, they don't want this war.
Okay.
They don't want this war, but there is, it's something that I think the Democrats should be, I think it's something, with all due respect, Democrats should be clear about. Iran has tried to kill Americans since 1979.
Okay.
Two things, hold on.
I'll let it finish.
Two things can be true at once. It can be good that Iran's killing machine has been degraded. At the same time, the consequences may outweigh the good that come from that.
Okay,
It's okay
look,
to say that.
I don't disagree with you.
I don't disagree.
You know, the fact that the leader Khamenei is gone, no one regrets that. The fact that Iran has less ability to create military trouble is no one disputes that. But you have to look, I don't think it's political, to be very honest with you. It's the consequences, the military, the geopolitical, the economic consequences.
I'm saying geopolitical.
You got to let me finish.
You just said what I was saying. The geopolitical consequences.
Right, it's not just the economic consequences. Right. Again, let me ask the question again. If you ask the American people,
Joe, chill, bro.
And you had the package together, because we don't know how bad it's going to get, but we know it's pretty bad now. I think most of them would have said, no, we shouldn't have gone to war. And by the way,
most of them have said that.
Yeah, we shouldn't have gone to war.
Right.
And I'll tell you this: if they would have done it right, if they would have voted, if the Republicans would have voted with us on the War Powers Act, all these questions would have been asked ahead of time.
Right.
Instead of Donald Trump's willy-nilly, one day yes, one day no. This is our reason. That is our reason. Right. So I don't think the question can be taken in just one slice.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I think we found some common ground.
Maybe we go to break now, since there's a little bit of agreement somewhere that we can play We're the World and go to break.
All right.
Bro.
How are the Yankees going to be this year?
Better.
Better.
Chuck Schumer of New York.
We'll see.
Thank you as always for coming in.
Great to be here.
It's always.
This boy Joe is so mad, bro. Why are you mad? Yeah, you guys see these neocons? They're having a hard time. They're having a hard time coping right now. This war not going well for them. This war is not going well for them. That's why they're having a hard time coping. So yeah, I need to wrap up tonight. Zoya, I need your help, my friend. Zoya's love. Zoya's life. Where you at, my friend? There she is. What's popping? Zoya, how you doing?
We have so many great chats. You want to do the super chats really quick?
Yeah, sure, Zoya. You can take the wheel. It's time for you to cook. It's fun on these streams. It's always good to hear from you. I love this new format we have, where you kind of come in and give me intermission, and then after the show, I'm enjoying it. Let's read some chats. I might find some new breaking stuff. I'm seeing some crazy shit now on my timeline. Yeah, I like doing it because I may interject with some stuff I find that's interesting. Rome has been putting out some good videos. There's so much stuff to cover. Like, oh my, look, another huge explosion. What the fuck? In Port Arthur, Texas? What y'all talking about? All right, so Zoya, take over from here. I might chime in for some stuff I find, if I find it interesting to talk about. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Enjoying my 2-hour therapy stream. Geopolitics, Power Hour, whatever you want to call it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe if you do. It's a lot of work putting these streams together, but I'll pass it to you, Zoya. I appreciate you joining me, my friend.
Of course. Let's go, guys. 6-pack for me. Thank you for the $5. Remember that Jeffrey Epstein is the spiritual leader of the white empire. I would say remember that there are many more Jeffrey Epsteins still out there, and the elites are still doing everything we read in the Epstein files, unfortunately. Mark Puglisi, thank you for the $2. Nick, even you wouldn't make that mistake. I'm not sure what that refers to, but I agree. Nick wouldn't make that mistake. FX6, thank you for the $4.99. Trump doesn't care about ending the war, just profiteering on the fluctuating markets he controls. He's edging the world every day. That is
That's a hilarious way to put it, for sure.
100%. Yeah, very well said. Mr. King of Troy, their goal is ultimate control, and they are winning. They are winning as long as we let them win. Certified boogeyman. The ruling class has thoroughly consolidated their grip. We are utterly cornered. Fuck. Time to organize, my friends. The revolution isn't going to be an app. You're going to have to get off your butts and meet people in your communities. Huckleberry Harrison, we've got to fight those AI centers. Some people are, and there have been some victories against AI centers and flock cameras as well. So don't ever let them fool you into thinking that what you do doesn't matter. It absolutely matters.
So is this like a new false flag or something going on? Like, this is crazy. I've seen everyone report on this. Oil refinery in Port Arthur, Texas explodes. This happened right after the U.S.-Israeli attacks on the Iranian. This is crazy. So, bro, I told you it's false flag season. What is going on? What is going on? But go ahead, Zoe. I'm just looking at this developing story. This is wild.
Yeah, a lot of people in the chat were mentioning this story. It's very bad. Like, the air quality outside is bad. And the government is shut down, so no one's coming to help with any of this. And there's massive flooding in Hawaii, and there are like over 1 million acres fires in Nebraska. So a lot is going on.
Bro, it really is false flag season. I 100% these fucking the Zionists definitely did this right. What is this? This is crazy.
Well,
anyway, please continue, Zoe. I'm not reacting to this. This is wild.
Absolutely. Somniferous. Global warming plus nuclear winter equals happy billionaires. Yeah, they definitely don't give a fuck, which is so in alignment with what Nick is showing you guys. Carson, the Epstein regime is just asset stripping the U.S. They will fuck off once it all burns down. Very fitting. I flagged these comments before we even showed this story. 7NS Witchblade. They would watch the world burn down around them as long as they have control, power, and wealth, as history shows us. Smokey's Ally. I'm late. Hi, everyone. You can always catch us on the replay. Shelly Greenstein. Explosion in Texas right now. Oil refinery. Yes, you see Nick is showing you that story. FX6, Nick's one of the closest to the camera motherfuckers in the game. That's because Nick is broadcasting from his kitchen counter, so that's all the space he has. Other podcasters are just wealthy enough to have more space. Arbiter Kloss, Ukraine was stupid to allow their right-wing militias to run wild, and Russia was stupid to invade. No, this is actually a stupid comment, or ignorant at least. Ukraine didn't volunteer to let right-wing militias take over the country. This was a Western CIA project literally for decades. Since the 50s, they were infiltrating Ukraine and funding banderites and these right-wing movements in Ukraine. So this is a long-term project, and eventually they did a coup. And a lot of Ukrainians protested and even were fighting armed in the streets to resist this, and they all got killed. And Russia didn't invade. Russia had to go in to stop this right-wing movement happening on their borders because Crimea voted to be independent, and so did Donbass, and Ukraine invaded them and started killing civilians. And this went on for years before Putin reacted. He was backed into a corner where he had to defensively do something.
Yeah, bro, Zoya is an ethnic Ukrainian. Don't fuck with her on this issue.
Yeah,
she's a historian, an expert on. He grew up in the Soviet Union, an expert on the Soviet Union and Russian history. Where do you guys think I learned this shit from, fam? You don't want to fuck with Zoya on this issue. I promise you.
Just like the majority of people who lived in the Soviet Union didn't want it to collapse. All the polling data shows they didn't want the collapse, but this is how imperialism works. Do you think the people of Syria wanted their government to collapse? So it's unfortunate. Imperialism is wrecking a lot of lives around the world. Victor LE5QM, the U.S. is clearly the world's leading supporter of terrorism, genocide, and crime more generally. Amen. Ain't that the truth? Everyone in the global south knows this, by the way. This just might be news to Americans. Six pack for me. Thank you for the $2. Reality is anti-Semitic. Damn reality. Tulio Pontacoloni, thank you for the $10. Alert, looks like U.S.-Israel bombed Iranian energy infrastructure. Another lie, just now, maybe false flag in Texas. Yes, that's what Nick was just showing you guys.
Anyone who believes that's Iran, you're fucking goy cattle. You're a goy cattle slave. You deserve to be manipulated if you believe that Iran did that.
Iran
it really is the season of false flags. Go ahead, Zoya. Go ahead.
Iran emphasizes that it would never hurt American civilians because they realize that the government doesn't represent the interests of its own people. Iran even spoke out against George Floyd and has been a major advocate against police brutality. They have a street in Iran named after Rachel Corrie and Bobby Sands, for those of you who know that. So Iran is actually the reasonable person in the room, and they value life, unlike Western imperialism.
Very well said, Zoe. So is love.
Arbiter class. India has a CP2, Communist Party too. Yes, they do. They have millions in the Communist Party. It is a massive Communist Party, but they are consistently suppressed and even violently attacked. Monique Boyke. Great video, Nick Cruse. Chairman Meow. I love that. Nick has clarity.
Yeah, that's a great name.
Okay, there's no way I can read that handle, but this man is cooking. That is correct.
I'm always in the lab, my friend.
Faggots against genocide. Oh, faggots against genocide, I believe.
How dare you?
Yeah, don't tweet that out. They'll cancel you. Children, military prisons. Yeah, it's unfathomable. But again, this was always normal under colonialism.
Y'all saw how they was called torturing a baby, a 1-year-old baby.
Oh God, thank God I didn't see that. We've
Yeah.
had so much
Some stuff I can't share on YouTube, but yeah, they did that. And people think these people need to go. Like once you leave the IDF, you're allowed to be an innocent civilian. I think every single member of the IDF, you're guilty. You need to get charged. No, there's no way I'll ever live with a motherfucker. Imagine to be a neighbor next to someone who tortured a baby before.
Well,
it's a viral story if you want to look it up.
We know from the Epstein files, elites eat babies. So, nothing's too far-fetched anymore. This is also the year where every conspiracy theory ends up being true. Raboniak, Odigo Systems. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is an official news report from the Israeli newspaper Haaretz, dated September 26, 2001. Violin. Privatization was always code for looting public assets. Yes, it was. And that's a kind of privatization that communism is against. A lot of people misinterpret communism and think that it means that you're not allowed to have private property like a toothbrush or a pair of underwear. But no, they're talking about public goods and assets. Phony Montana. Nick, you're hilarious. I agree. That's why people love doing therapy hours with Nick. Joseph Macy, thank you for the $4.99. Bryce, always good to see you. What up, Nick and Zoya? What's up, comrades? What's up, Bryce? Jai Hi, politics in the West are such a joke. Yeah, it's more like a soap opera, truly. Blip 99999. Scarborough backing the war of the president. He just stopped calling Hitler. Yeah, it's not even rational anymore. 1 second Trump is Hitler, next second, well, maybe Hitler's doing something right here. Hold on. Chairman Meow, I don't watch TV at all. Honestly, good for you. TV is a propaganda machine.
You guys see Press TV posting my W's? That's fine. That's pretty funny.
Another BMW.
Yes.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I missed that. That's awesome, Nick. Pawlinowski, 2068. Thank you for the £5, I believe. Alex McKay has an excellent 4-part analysis on the Russian political system and how the SMO was executed. We recently had him on, so check out that interview he did with Nick. It was a great discussion. Alex Rodriguez, random numbers. Yeah, but all they worried about is gas prices. They don't think it's wrong that innocent lives are lost to them. It's a financial issue, not human. That's because capitalism is a death cult, and they have taught everybody to dehumanize the other and not think of people in these countries as human beings. Shelley Greenstein, everyone hates us arrogant Americans. Yes, go travel abroad. see how they feel.
That's why I take pride that I have a large international following. The U.S. I make a lot of people in the U.S. left uncomfortable, exposing their chauvinism. But you gotta see that person from Egypt. I get people who tell me they walk from Europe, from Brazil. That's something I take a lot of pride in. I got a large following in Japan, in Southeast Asia. Like Zoe, you've been seeing my tweets on Takaichi. They always blow up. I think I do really well on the international stage because people see this black country boy like, damn, this motherfucker anti-America as hell. I thought most Americans was brainwashed. So I think I do really well on the international stage. I make the U.S. left uncomfortable 100%.
Yeah, and I think the international community finds your voice refreshing from an American who actually understands what's going on.
I got Russian homies that follow me too. I was on Press TV. I could never. There's no translations and there's no really proper links to share. I was on Press TV a few times. I have people in Iran who follow my work. That's what I take pride in. But go ahead, Zoya.
Don Hooligan, Joe needs to enlist and go sit on a U.S. carrier in West Asia territorial waters. Yes, but unfortunately, all of these people are just puppets. So, even if you kill them all, they'll be replaced. We need to take down power structures. Jai Hai, most Americans don't know shit, which is precisely why we are where we are. It's true, and that's not an accident. Again, over 50% of adults in U.S. Aren't literate above a 6th grade level, and only 20% of 12th grade students in America are sufficiently educated in math. So that's not an accident. Don Hooligan, Hassan Piker just exploited Cuba for clicks and praise. Yeah, I saw that. The problem with people like Hassan Piker is that they will get a lot of things right very deliberately, but in the end, they will sheepdog you back into the system.
Were they really staying in 5-star hotels? They were just chilling. I was really all right, what are they exactly about to be doing here? They'll stay in 5-star hotels, post on social media. It was wild. And yeah, I think I've vaguely followed that story.
Pawlinowski, thank you for the £5. The Iran war is robbing me of sleep. I've never seen such idiocy. Those idiots killed their petrodollar, and the working people will have to bear it. Yeah, that last point is that we will have to bear it. They're making profit. They're hedging bets. They're playing with stock markets. They're enriching themselves no matter what.
Something that people in the West need to remember, especially regarding the last point, is what they call it, like disaster tourism. It's something they always kind of frowned upon. So you gotta be very careful that you're not taking advantage of the people that the West is exploiting for clout. And that's something that people in the West have done for generations, like the disaster tourism. I think that's what a lot of people find to be uncouth. As the Cuban people are suffering, staying in 5-star hotels, post on your social media for clout. Like, what are you actually materially doing on the ground for them? I think that's what a lot of people are worried about. For people wondering, and there's gotta be you gotta be cognizant as your position as an American. Like, you can't just be that tourist just documenting stuff and not actually helping the people on the ground. Just something to keep in mind.
Definitely. Tullio Fontecaloni, thank you for the $5. Obvious Zionist false flag, if true, not Iran, obviously. Hopefully, obviously. Chief Madu, 1989, thank you for the $2. Europe is now targeting Niger in the Sahel. Now targeting, they've been doing that for centuries. So yeah, they're definitely late stage capitalism is very chaotic. So they're trying to cause chaos all over the world as much as they can. And last comment for us, Kat Terrell, thoughts out to victims and wildlife in Hawaii and Nebraska. No FEMA because government shut down. No news on it either. And again, this goes back to why we must organize. I mean, if you guys keep waiting, it's going to be too late, and you're going to experience crisis where you live with food, with energy, just prices of food becoming unaffordable. If we don't start organizing now and building our own community networks, even if you don't want to organize, let's say you're not there yet. Let's say you're not ready to organize for communism. Organize just to help people. Organize just to help each other in your communities. Regardless of where your ideology lends, the most important thing is people helping people right now. And that's why I love Fred Hampton for saying that what they do because they love the people. And Kwame Ture said that anyone that thinks revolution is just about destroying isn't a revolutionary. I don't remember verbatim, but he said that revolution is about building and creating. So that is our number one job. Build something in your community today. Create something in your community today. That is one of the most fundamental things about being human beings. And we're so capable. We're so much more capable than they lead us to believe. So don't ever make them make you feel like you're powerless. You always have power. Everything you do matters. And you can fundamentally change things at least where you are. That's why they say, think globally, organize locally, because there's nothing you could do about the situation in Iran, but you can organize your communities here to oppose the empire. And there was an attack recently on, albeit I think weapon systems by earthquake organization. I'm not sure if I'm getting that right, but there are people organizing. There are people doing things. The people who oppose cop cities are still around. They're still protesting. There's indigenous groups opposing new pipelines that just lost the case in court. These people all exist. They need your support. If you seek these movements, you will find them, and you will find camaraderie, and you will find purpose like this system will never give you.
Very well said, Zoya.
Chief Mondu, thank you for the $2. Free Cyprus from NATO occupation. Yeah, free the world from capitalist occupation. That's it for the super chats and chats. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please make sure that you're following on all platforms. Follow Nick, Socialist MMA, on Twitter, on Telegram, on Kick, on Twitch, on Rumble. We have to make sure that we have these backup platforms because these capitalist platforms censor our speech, and it's only a matter of time until we're removed. So if you appreciate the work and enjoy the work, make sure that you're subscribed, hit the bell. And also, if you want to support Nick just being able to buy groceries, subscribe to the Patreon, give what you can, and love and solidarity always.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'll be back on Thursday. My friend Jason Smith. We're gonna discuss some breaking news on the Iran war and some new happenings with China and how they're helping Cuba, how they're helping Iran. So I'll be back on Thursday for you. You already know that's gonna be a geopolitics power hour on Thursday. So Appreciate you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a good one. Take care.